Good morning, my brothers and sisters, and welcome to episode 23 in the book of Acts. When we left yesterday, we were with a lame man who was doing some leaping on strong legs, and today we find out that he actually did have faith. So we're in Acts chapter 3. I'm going to read it, and this is the follow-up. So the man has been healed, he hasn't gone away, and people are going to be attracted to this miracle. So let me just finish by saying Acts 3:10, and people saw him walking and praising God, and they recognized him as the one who sat at the beautiful gate of the temple asking for alms. And they were filled with wonder and amazement at what had happened to them. And while he clung to Peter and John, all the people, utterly astounded, ran together to them in the portico called Solomon's. And when Peter saw it, he addressed the people, "Men of Israel, why do you wonder at this? Or why do you stare at us, as though by our own power or piety we have made him walk? The God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, the God of our fathers, glorified his servant Jesus, whom you delivered over and denied in the presence of Pilate when he had decided to release him. But you denied the holy and righteous one and asked for a murderer to be granted to you. And you killed the author of life, whom God raised from the dead. To this we are witnesses. And by his name, by faith in his name, he has made this man strong, who you see and know. And the faith that is through Jesus has given the man this perfect health in the presence of you all." So let's just talk about the lame man. We find that he did have faith. Verse 16, that the man has had faith in Jesus, faith in the name of Jesus, and it is this faith that made him strong, and you have seen his strength, you have seen his leaping, so you have been witnesses of this. We find that his faith gave the man perfect health in your presence, so it wasn't a secret kind of a thing. So that's the lame man, and he has become attractive, he has become mobile, because the sight moves from the beautiful gate to the portico of Solomon. Now that is an area, it's a colonnade of these massive 40-foot columns, and there are many of them, maybe 50 of them or something like that. It's a 23-foot wide area that has a covering, so it would be a nice place to meet, even though it was kind of open air. The columns were probably made out of marble, and the top was made out of cedar, so saith the local historian Josephus. All right, so we find that they're moving to this new place. Peter's going to be there again in a couple of chapters. We find that the man who has been leaping is now clinging. I guess that's a valid response. He's clinging to Peter and John. And we find that because of this man and the healing that has been so dramatic, that people are actually running to them, which I think is really cool. They ran together to them, and they end up in the portico of Solomon. So we have Peter, we have John, we have the lame man who now is not lame, we have the leaping guy, and then we have this group of people that have been attracted, and we find that they're Jews. Well, that makes sense because they're only a few steps away from the actual temple, maybe 50 yards or something like that. And they run together. The religiously inclined have been found here. And then we have Peter clarifying things as he see a crowd gather. He says, look, this is not by our own power, and it's not by our piety that has made this man walk. Then he steers him first to God, then he steers him to Jesus. So look at how Peter does this. First he says, this is the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, God of Jacob, and the God of our father has glorified Jesus, has pointed towards Jesus. And then he describes our relationship with Jesus. And here's where it gets nasty. He says, you've delivered him over. You've denied him in the presence of Pilate. And this is, we find out that Pilate had decided to release Jesus. So Pilate was kind of on Jesus's side, and these people turned Pilate back. And then they describe who Jesus is and gives Jesus new names. And that is, Peter is identifying these profoundly important scriptural names to Jesus that are going to stay with Jesus for the rest of his life and for eternity. And that is, number one, the Holy One, and number two, the Righteous One. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 18 says, Christ suffered once for sins, the righteous for the unrighteous. And this is an important characteristic of Jesus, because he has to be righteous. He has to be one who pays the price righteously. He has to satisfy the need for a payment for sin. Now, the Holy One, Jesus, was identified as the Holy One first by demons. The demons were the first one to recognize it, and that carries all the way through into the book of Revelation, where Jesus is going to be re-identified and continually identified as the Holy One. So here's the irony, is that they deny and kill a righteous and holy one. So they kill the holy guy, they free the killer, which is Barabbas, and then he's described as the author of life that God eventually raised. So this is so offensive. Peter doesn't hold back at all. He starts with the offense of me. He says, you're a killer of the Holy One. You're a killer of the righteous. You're the killer of the author of life. You denied him in the presence of Pilate. You saw this. So the first step he does is, let's clarify here, guys. You are killers. You are murderers.
Could you say that again? My apologies.
And know who you've killed. Know how you verbally and actually killed him. And then let's clarify who this is. Okay, who is this Jesus? He is the Holy One. He is the Righteous One. And he is the author of life, which ironically you killed, and you couldn't keep him killed. So that is the start of this speech. It's just so incredibly offensive, especially when you start with step number one, you're a killer. Thanks for listening. Let's find out where Peter goes tomorrow. See you then.